You're listening to Let's Talk AI.
Good day. Welcome to Let's Talk AI. I'll be your host. I'm Harold Godwin, Managing Director for Waterloo AI. Today we have an exciting guest, Sushanta Mitra, and Sushanta is the Executive Director of Waterloo Institute for Nanotechnology, also known as WIN, and he's also a professor in Mechanical and Mechatronics Engineering. So welcome, Sushanta.
Thank you, Harold. I'm happy to be here.
So this is going to be an exciting topic today. We're talking about the intersection of AI and nanotech, how it relates to this category of materials discovery. So before we jump into that, let's go back a little bit and give us some of your background. Where'd you do your studies, and how did you end up here at Waterloo?
Thanks, Harold. Waterloo is definitely a very near and dear place in my heart. This is the place where I did my grad school, my PhD way back. And also, I have been to other different Canadian university. And then an opportunity came in 2017 to come back to Waterloo to serve as the executive director of Canada's largest nanotechnology institute, the Waterloo Institute for Nanotechnology, acronym WIN, and that's where I am here.
Okay, well, this is great. So as I said, our topic today is this intersection of AI and nanotech and how it relates to materials discovery. So explain that. What is this materials discovery? How did we do it in the past? And then we'll get into where we're at and what we can do going forward.
I think if you look at the very advent of this industrial age, and now we call it Industry 4.0, the critical pathway to achieve this ambitious goal is really in terms of new materials. So, new materials will really revolutionize the way we see the world today and its interconnectivity. And that's where we see a new process or methods needs to evolve where we can make materials and its functionalities in such a way that as one who is working or a scientist or researcher working in this area, he has the complete control and tune the properties, which was not been possible previously. If you look at way previously, these kind of materials were discovered, be it coating for creating hydrophobic materials, where you can spill water, water will repel, like as if you are mimicking nature in terms of lotus leaf effect and things like that. There you have to do a lot of combination of chemistry, chemical processes, look at functionalization of the surfaces, and you may need to do maybe hundreds of experiments, to find out the right chemistry and the right amount of coating material, thickness, whether it's durability in terms of external environment. So these were very cumbersome and time consuming. But now we have mechanism to avoid some of these steps and be more efficient. At the same time, be responsible environmentally. Now, by mean environmentally, that you try to synthesize new material through green chemistry route, which has minimum footprint in chemistry.
Okay, so that's a bit of the process. How do we even figure out which materials or where? Like, how do we get priorities of, okay, we need a new material that does X, Y, and Z? How do we figure that out? Before we start the process of discovery, how do we even know what to discover?
So it's a very interesting, in our hand we have the periodic table, right? So we have the elements in the periodic table. Now this we now look at their individual materials on the periodic table, see what are those properties of those individual materials. And now at the very end, if you look at the user end, we are trying to achieve a given property. So now we play this combination based on existing, database of material science that already exists, where people have already done experiments. So we get to learn from those database, look at my final property, and try to create a match process so that eventually the combination will provide us the journey, the pathway to achieve the final goal in terms of properties that we aspire in the new material.
Okay, so obviously this is a Let's Talk AI podcast. Where does AI fit into that as you see it?
So AI, machine learning is really a cornerstone in this kind of discovery process because if you look at the experiments that have been conducted in the labs, we are able to get those data points that has been, going on for the last maybe 50, 100 years. So now we have a mechanism to take those data points, put them into some sort of a machine learning algorithm. So then it drives that features and enable us to, I will say, prudently advise and tell us what elements in the periodic table will now help us to achieve our final goal in terms of the functionality of the material that we are aspiring or we are aiming for.
Can you give us an example of maybe how this process has worked in a new material or a new basis we've discovered?
Well, these are ongoing research. For example, there are a lot of activities going on in terms of creating new materials for solar cell. So these kind of materials were never been, thought about, particularly looking at the green chemistry route, where you tend to avoid materials which has a negative impact in terms of environmental impact and so forth. Now you're able to use green synthesis route to look at similar or even more efficient solar panel that was not even previously possible. So this will give you a concrete example where machine learning, AI driven material discovery can create a big impact, in this case in energy field.
What other fields? I mean, health. Is there an opportunity where this is going to help health?
Absolutely. Say, for example, if you look at precision medicine, where we are talking about targeted drug delivery, customizing your kind of therapeutics based on the individual profile of a person and so forth, where we see AI can play a critical role because now you can create functional materials that have that ability to actually go right in the location of the human organ where it needs to deliver the drug molecule. Side by side, we see due to the much advancement of computational technologies like AI and others, we can create a digital twin of an individual. So, with a digital twin and the AI process together, I think it can revolutionize healthcare in a very big way.
So three measures of overall performance is quality, cost, and timeline. And it sounds like this could impact all three of those.
Absolutely. In terms of quality, we will able to see new materials which we never dreamt before. In terms of efficiency, we are able to go from lab to discovery to prototyping and put it into manufacturing in a much rapid scale. And definitely, if you look at overall, the cost itself will be much lower in terms of the entire discovery journey because now you are able to push the timeline or shorten the timeline from bench to industry scale at a very short time span, right?
Yeah, this looks to be just an almost new, untapped direction for the impact of AI that people aren't talking about. We're too much focused on efficiency of what we've done in the past. This is entirely brand new, pioneering new areas.
Yeah, and I think this is where Waterloo comes into a big way because in our DNA innovation is critical part of it, and we see in terms of bringing AI tools in our material discovery, we will accelerate our pathway in creating new generation of functional materials that was not been previously possible, and having core strength in the university, the Waterloo AI Institute, the Faculty of Maths and the researchers who are working on in terms of material discovery at the Waterloo Institute of Nanotechnology, we see an excellent nexus working together to accelerate material discovery.
So speaking of Nexus, we've got all our people internally here on campus. What about external partners? Is that a possibility, and when and how do they get involved?
Absolutely, and I think this really nicely talks about our upcoming symposium workshop that we are planning in September 24th, where we are not only bringing our researchers internally, but also we are bringing industry players, particularly SMEs, small and medium enterprises, who are the work engine, economic engine of the region and beyond, where they are still at the fringe. They are wondering how AI can help in their new material processes, how nanotechnology can help them in the new discovery. And having bringing those questions in front of our researchers will be very important. And we also understand that the institute like Waterloo as well as the WIN cannot alone in a silo work towards this ambitious goal. So that's where we are bringing our international partners across the region, be it Europe, be it Asia, to end this workshop, so where we put our minds together so that we work as a unified approach towards this acceleration of material discovery.
This is very exciting. So, my background is in patents and things like this. What do you see would be the intellectual property related to these new materials? Is this for all? Is it going to be proprietary? What's that path going to look like?
Yeah, I think this is a very good question. University of Waterloo itself has a very progressive and interesting IP policy, which is inventor-owned intellectual property. So that means researchers like myself and others, whoever work in our research, everything belongs to us, not to the University of Waterloo. So that helps us to really partner with industry as well as our international partners, where they see we have a purpose and work together to do the commercialization. And as we co-develop some of these activities, we see that there will be co-ownership of the intellectual properties moving forward. At the end, what we are looking at is the public good, is the how these kind of disruptive technology is creating a societal impact and meeting United Nations sustainable development goals. And having this co-creation, co-discovery pathway, and sharing of intellectual property will create definitely a more equitable discovery process.
This is happening, I think I understand, beyond Waterloo. It's happening across Canada, North America. How broad is this initiative?
Well, if you look at, we have created a network, which is the International Network for Sustainable Nanotechnology. And underpinning that idea of this network is to bring like minded institute across the globe. We have a research institute from North America, from Europe, from Africa, Australia, Asia, working towards this kind of common goal where societal impact is kept at a forefront in terms of creating sustainable technology. And when we think of these kind of sustainable technology, AI will play a pivotal role, because then only applying machine learning in a judicious way, we will able to create materials that are sustainable for the near future.
Okay, so you mentioned this big event you're having on the September 24th. Who should attend? Materials experts, AI experts, nano? Like, who's the audience here?
Our audience are typically the researchers, scientists who are working in the materials space, who are working in algorithm space, in machine learning, in AI, industry, who haven't really thought about using nanotechnology or AI, but they are very keen to looking at their own efficiency. They are looking at how to reduce carbon footprint, greenhouse foot, effects, and so forth. So they are looking at new ways, new processes that would actually help them to innovate and more effectively and efficiently and a cost effective manner. I think these are definitely the stakeholders that we see bringing forward. And of course, the government and policymaker. But at the end, we need these kind of innovation be part of a Canadian innovation policy framework in together. So I think we need policymaker to be part of this exciting workshop as well.
Well, this is that's great. Thank you for outlining that. So, is there a difference between drug discovery and materials discovery? Or is that just a different name that maybe pharma uses instead of everyone else? Because I know pharma is doing a lot of work in drug discovery.
Good question. Drug, if you look at, is basically small molecules. They are looking at how to create small molecules. Here also, we are looking at the very atomic scale. These are all small molecules. But now, if you think about drug discovery, they are putting these small molecules into pills. Here in material discovery, we are talking about, large roll to processes where it can be put in your car, it can be put in your refrigerator, in your home appliances, in your cell phone. It is really creating, impact, just not on the healthcare, but all aspects of our day-to-day life.
I saw a quote the other day in 1899, the commissioner of the US Patent Office lobbied to have the office closed because everything that could be invented has already been invented. And that was about a million patents at that point. Here we are just passing 12 million patents on the US scale. So the reason I touch on this just seems like it's going to accelerate innovation. Like, and with innovation comes jobs, comes new, and more things. So radical changes ahead for this.
And you have rightly pointed out, Harold, but still, I will say this is, we are just scratching the surfaces. There is a lot. I think once we dive deep into these kind of new processes of material discovery, we will see that there will be new pathways of innovation, new industry processes will be invented that we cannot even dream of. And due to the advent of the advancement of computation, high performance computing, and others, like a classic example how nvidia and companies like that are putting ai in their processor, we will see this kind of acceleration that humankind have never seen before.
So for a lot of people, they're starting to figure out what is AI. We're helping with AI literacy. Nano is still sometimes a little bit to arm's length for your average person. Give us just a rundown here. How is this going to, merge nano and AI? What the nano side?
So nanotechnology, if you look at, is almost ubiquitous now in way our society operates. Be it your cell phone, when you're able to do touch screen, there's actually a very small polymeric nanoscale film which is able to do it. If you look at your refrigerator, it has a nano coating of silver nano coating that is enable you to keep the food longer than previously possible. So there are huge amount of applications of nanotechnology that we see in today's world, from wound healing to precision medicine. Now, the question is, there are so many other opportunities of nanotechnology creating functional materials that will enhance the quality of our life. And that's where we see AI bringing in, enable that acceleration pathway so that as a society, we enjoy the benefit of these kind of disruptive technology.
So on the event for September 24th, and somebody listens to this podcast and is like, "Wow, I got to be there." How do they attend?
Yeah, please visit the University of Waterloo and WIN website as well as Waterloo AI website. We will have link for registration. It's a free registration. We welcome the community, the interested researchers, the industry, the external stakeholders, the government people to please join us and make this a very exciting event for everyone.
Well, this is great. Well, thank you for giving us a 101 on materials discovery, the intersection of AI and nano. We're looking forward to your event on September 24th. And thanks again for participating in Let's Talk AI.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.